all torn up and you're tying knots to keep it together. You're chanting Krishna's name every day. What is Krishna doing for you? Look at your house. There are so many atheists out there, and so many agnostics, and so many worshippers of devas, and they have nice houses, and nice food, and nice clothes, and you don't have anything nice. What is Krishna doing for you? Sridhar, very humble. He said, in my life, I have seen. There's the king, who has wonderful clothes, beautiful palace, eats fine foods. And there is the bird who lives in a little nest, who just eats some wild berries and just wears the same feathers every day. But I don't see that there's much of a difference between the life of a king and a bird, because in the passing of time, they're both enjoying some and suffering some and everything else. I'm tasting the nectar of Krishna. I'm happy. I don't need any of these things. Lord Caitanya said, I'm going to expose your hypocrisy. You're pretending to be a poverty-stricken person selling bananas, but actually hidden you have great treasure of wealth. Sridhar said, I don't have anything hidden. What you see is what I am and what I have. There's nothing hidden. He said, I will reveal and expose you. And today I will take your bananas. He said, please take my bananas. Every day, like this, 3 hours. And Sridhar, knowing that Nimai would come, he would be looking down the little dusty path, waiting for Nimai. Oh, his heart would be pounding in expectation, anticipation. When will Nimai come to steal my bananas? He didn't know he was God. He had no clue that he was God, but he loved him as God. This was the beauty of the Lila. It is described by Lord Caitanya that he was so insignificant and unknown in the town that nobody knew his name, Sridhar. They just called him Kolavecha, the banana seller. But Lord Caitanya loved his bananas so much. He loved Sridhar's devotion so much that every single day he would eat his meals that Sachimata would cook for him on the banana leaf that Kolavecha Sridhar would give him. And Kolavecha Sridhar had this little thatched hut, and it was just made of straw, and every now and then a pumpkin would grow from his roof. And Kolavecha Sridhar would run and give that pumpkin to Sachimata. And Lord Caitanya would relish eating it. So the Lord said, go to the outskirts of town and bring Sridhar. They said, well, we don't know where he lives. He said, you don't have to know where he is. All you have to do is just sit down and listen, and you'll hear somebody loudly chanting, follow that sound, and you will find him. So it was night. And they went, and they heard Sridhar, just all alone, with such love, weeping in separation from his beloved Lord, crying out the holy names. And they went to his house. And by this time, Sridhar understood that Lord Caitanya was the Supreme Lord Krishna, the Lord of his life. They said, Vishwambar, Lord Gauranga, is calling for you, Sridhar. Huh? He said, he's calling for me. Yes, he wants us to take you to him. Sridhar, he's calling for me. Why me? And he fell unconscious. That was his humility. This is a symptom of real devotion. Not that we expect mercy. If you expect something, you don't appreciate it when it comes. But if we feel ourselves unqualified when it comes, we are so grateful. And when we are grateful, we could actually receive it and digest it. So the devotees picked him up and helped to carry him to Srivasangam, several kilometers. And Sridhar, oh, can you imagine his happiness? He comes into the house of Srivas first time, and he sees Lord Chaitanya sitting on the throne of Vishnu. And Sridhar bows down, and Lord Chaitanya, as soon as he says it, he says, Sridhar. He said, see my opulence. And when Sridhar looked up at the Lord assumed the form of Krishna. He had a beautiful, beautiful complexion that was dark like the bark of a tamal tree. He had a beautiful peacock feather decorating his curling hair that was circling his beautiful moon-like face, his wonderful lotus-like eyes. Flower garland down to his knees. And the Lord was standing beside Lord Balaram, who had a beautiful white complexion, holding his plow and his club. And he saw the forest of Vrindavan with kadamba trees and tamal trees and banyan trees and beautiful parrots and birds and peacocks and cows. He saw gopas and gopis. He saw the spiritual world. And he saw Brahma and Shiva and Narada and Anantashesha and all the various primary devas singing beautiful prayers to glorify Krishna and Balaram. You see, Kalavecha Sridhar is a cowherd boy in Krishna's Lila. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was revealing just the nature of his love. Kalavecha Sridhar fell unconscious upon seeing this. And the Lord touched him and woke him up and said, Sridhar, offer prayers to me. Whatever's in your heart, speak it. And Sridhar said, how could I offer prayers? I have no education. I'm illiterate. I never studied Vedas. I don't know any prayers. Lord Chaitanya said, that is not a disqualification. Just speak what's in your heart. And Goddess Saraswati will appear on your tongue so that you could express the love of your heart perfectly. Ananyas chittayam dhamam yejana parayupasate. Whether a sincere devotion or no impediments. So Sridhar just began to speak. Beautiful prayers. He described all glories to Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Lord Gauranga, you have descended into this world to bestow upon all the world the greatest treasure of the jewel of pure devotional service. Pure devotional service resides in your body. And you bestow that devotional service to those devotees who approach you and want nothing else. And the power of that devotional service that you give the devotees conquers even you. This is the most esoteric and beautiful of all truths. How you give the love to your devotees, and through that love, the devotees defeat you. And he gave many examples, Sridhar. Bhishma, on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, Bhishma defeated you. You made a promise before that battle, I will not lift a weapon and I will not fight. But Bhishma made a promise that he would make you break your promise because he was about to defeat Arjuna. and to protect your devotee. Konteya pratijani hinamena bhakta. In order to protect your devotee Arjuna, you are willing to break your own promise. Why? Sridhar said, just to show that I'm defeated by the love of my devotee, like Bhishma. Yashoda Mai, she bound you with a rope and tied you up. And you allowed her to do so just to show that you are bound, defeated by the love of your devotee. And Satyabhama, your wife in Dwarka, she treated you like a hen-pecked husband. She would say, Krishna, I want a parijata tree. You gave a parijata flower to Rukmini. I want a tree. There was only one parijata tree in Indra's kingdom. And Indra was really attached to that parijata tree. And there was a whole war over that parijata tree. You all know the story. Just to satisfy your wife, Satyabhama. Just to show the world that you are defeated by the love of your devotees. And the Gopas, they wrestle with you. The little cowherd boys. And they win. And then to show the whole world that you have been defeated by your cowherd boy friends, you carry them on your shoulders in public. Every living being is carrying you within their hearts. And yet you are carrying your devotees, the little gopas like Sridhama, on your shoulders. Just to show the world how you're conquered by bhakti. Devotees beg for this bhakti, and then they defeat you with that bhakti. Kalavecha Sridhar, he explained how the power of bhakti is it crushes all material illusion into powder. And then when the devotees dance in kirtan, the breeze created by their dancing blows that powder away forever. This is the power of the chanting of God's name. But if we want to attain that state that we're speaking about and access that power, we must very carefully hear the next part of this Leela. Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu was so satisfied with Sridhar. He said, I want to give you any benediction. Ask for anything. I will give you the wealth of a king. Sridhar said, I don't want. Simply a disturbance. I will give you elevation to higher planets. Sridhar said, I don't want to go anywhere else. The Lord said, I will give you the 8 mystic perfections, the siddhis, people, lifetimes of tapasya to gain even a fraction of one siddhi. I will give you all 8 mystic siddhis in full. Sridhar said, that will only agitate my mind. What do I need siddhis for? But you're so poor and you have nothing. I'll give you liberation. I'll give you elevation to the spiritual world. Sridhar said, I have no interest in any of these things. Lord Chaitanya said, ask for something. I want to give you something. And Sridhar said, I'm not a business person. I don't want anything for you. Just be peaceful. The Lord said, I am peaceful, but I want to give you something. He said, you want to make me happy? Sridhar said, that's what I live for. He said, well, what will make me happy is if you ask for something. I want to give you a benediction. Sridhar said, if you insist on giving me something, if that will make you happy, I only want to be the servant of the servant of the servant of your servants. I want to love you and remember you unconditionally. And let within my heart of hearts, wherever I may be, let me always be meditating and seeing that little boy Nimai coming to steal my bananas. Birth after birth, wherever I may be, my Lord, please come to steal my bananas. When he said this from his heart, Lord Chaitanya began to cry. All the devotees began to cry. This is the nature of bhakti. Lord Chaitanya roared. He said, I give you pure, unalloyed devotional service to His highest perfect state forever. And anyone who hears this story about you with a sincere and faithful heart will receive the most precious treasure of pure love for Krishna. Hearing this, all the devotees lifted their arms and loudly cried, Jai, Jai. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu called Murari Gupta. He was sitting on the side. He said, Murari, look at me. And Murari looked at Lord Chaitanya. And Lord Chaitanya had transformed his body into the form of Lord Ram. His body was the color of the durba grass. He was holding a bow with a quiver of arrows on his back. He was so beautiful. On his left side was beloved Sita. On his right was Lakshman. And then Murari Gupta saw all these armies of celestial monkeys all around Ram offering prayers. And then he happened to look down and saw that his body had a tail. And he fell unconscious. And Lord Chaitanya said, arise, arise. He said, don't you remember? You do not remember, but now I am revealing to you. I am your beloved Ram. And just see, on this side is Lakshman. You went great distance and picked up the Ganga mud on the mountain to cure him from his injury. And here is Sita. You wept oceans of, a shoreless ocean of tears to see her anguish when she was under the captivity of Ravana. I am your beloved. And you are my eternal servant, birth after birth. You are Hanuman. Murari Gupta was overwhelmed. The Lord revealed his true identity as Hanumanji. The Lord asked him to ask for a benediction. Murari Gupta, he said, I do not want anything. Just give me the power to always sing your glories. Give me only the benediction that I never forget you. That birth after birth after birth, you are always my master and I am always your servant. And wherever I may be, just give me this one boon, that I will have the company of those people who consider you their master and who consider themselves your servant. Let me just be the servant of your servants. Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu, he told with all the devotees with so much emotion. He said the reason his name is Murari Gupta, because he appears to be like an ordinary householder with a family, and he appears to be an ordinary doctor. He was an Ayurvedic doctor. And he's crushing herbs and roots and making medicines. But actually, although he's so humble, with no pretension, in his heart, Murari, Krishna, is always hidden, Gupta. But today we have revealed the truth of Murari Gupta's heart. Murari Gupta, I give you this benediction. You will always be with me, and you will always be more dear to the very life of all of the devotees. All the devotees seeing this. You see, a devotee's joy is to see others getting blessings. In the material world, we want things for ourselves. But there is a happiness so far beyond the happiness of getting what you want. And that's to see other people getting blessed. To the degree we find happiness in seeing other people get blessings, to seeing other people being empowered, to that degree we're going to really be very dear to Krishna. In the material state, we become arrogant if we're better than someone else. We become envious or depressed if we're less than someone else. But in bhakti, real bhakti, we find the greatest happiness in seeing others receiving blessings, others excelling in what they're doing, others being empowered by Krishna. So all the devotees, they were in the highest happiness to seeing each other getting all their desires fulfilled. Anyone who hears the story of Murari Gupta gets pure devotional service to Lord Krishna. If we hear with faith and sincerity. Then Lord Chaitanya looked across the room and saw Haridas Thakur. And he cried out, Haridas, your body is better than mine. You don't remember. You don't remember what happened, but I remember. Many years ago, you were took prisoner by the king and the qazis. And even though you were born of an untouchable family, you were chanting Krishna's names. Because you were doing that, so many caste Brahmins hated you. And so many people of other religions who were ruling at the time hated you. But the sincere people, they loved you. Chanting 300,000 names every day with such humility and devotion. Whoever saw you, if they didn't hate you, if their hearts were even slightly receptive, they would be transformed. You were brought to the ruler and told, either you give up this chanting of Krishna's names or you will be beaten and tortured till death. And Haridas said, he laughed. He laughed. He said, there's one God. He has different names and different religions. Somehow that one God has attracted me like in the beautiful, beautiful form of Krishna. And I can never give him up. And I can never give up chanting his names. And I can never give up sharing my love for Krishna with the world. Even if you cut my body into millions of pieces, every piece will be spreading the glories of your holy name. king looked at the executioners and said, "Take this animal and beat him till he's dead." Lord Chaitanya said, "They beat you in 22 marketplaces with whips, dragging you by the hair, kicking you, spitting on you, in front of the whole public. And all the while, you were just praying, 'My Lord, please forgive them.' I could not tolerate this. I descended from the spiritual world to kill these men who were torturing you. I took my Sudarshan chakra to sever their heads. But at the same time, you were praying, 'My Lord, if ever I've done anything to please you, I only want one boon. Forgive these people. Give them your love and your mercy.' He said, I couldn't harm them because I didn't want to displease you. In fact, my Sudarshan chakra became powerless because of the power of your forgiveness. So I couldn't do anything to them. So I personally laid my own body over yours so that you would not die from these beatings. And I took the beatings myself. Just see." And Lord Chaitanya revealed to Haridas and all the devotees all the whip marks on his own body. Haridas Thakur fainted in ecstatic gratitude. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu yearns to serve his servants. He said, "Rise, rise, and gaze at my opulence." Haridas Thakur saw the supreme opulence of Krishna. He saw the Lord Chaitanya transforming into the Lord of his heart. And Haridas said, while weeping, he says, "I am so insignificant. I am so fallen. But still, you are so kind that you never abandon any devotee that remembers you. Even if an insect remembers you, you will give that insect full shelter. Even if a worm remembers you." But Haridas, he said, "I am so unfortunate. I never remember you." Dushasana, on the order of Duryodhana, dragged Draupadi into the assembly hall by the hair. And with his powerful hands, he was about to pull her sari right off. But Draupadi, she remembered you. She lifted her arms high in the air and she cried out, "Hey Krishna, hey Govinda." And in remembering you, you appeared before her in the form of a sari to protect her. Prahlad Maharaj, his demoniac father, tried to kill him by throwing him off mountains, by throwing him in fire, by giving him deadly poison, by putting him in the pits of snakes. But Prahlad remembered you, so you were there to give him shelter. The Pandavas, when they were in Kamyavan, Durvasmuni came with 60,000 disciples. Duryodhana sent him. Because Durvasmuni is famous for cursing people who displease him. And he's very powerful. He's an Amsa of Shiva. I don't think any of you want to displease him. And Duryodhana said, "Oh, Pandavas, they have such good prasad, but you have to go to their place in Kamyavan where they're living in exile in the forest at this particular time." So Durvasmuni went, but they knew that that was the time the Pandavas already finished eating. And Draupadi had her mystical pot that could cook for as many people as she wanted to, provide for as many people as possible until she ate. And Duryodhana had spies. He knew just when she ate. So she had eaten. The pot was empty. Durvasa Muni comes, says, I'm coming, all my disciples are here. We want prasad. Yudhisthira, what are we going to do? He said, why don't you take your bath first, and then, we'll make arrangements. So we went to take bath, and he said, Draupadi, make your pot, give prasad. And she said, I already ate. It won't work until tomorrow. Draupadi was remembering Krishna. Yudhisthira was remembering Krishna. They were in a desperate situation. And Haridas explained, Krishna came. And he said, Maharaj Yudhisthira, please give me prasad. And Maharaj Yudhisthira is already in so much anguish. He said, I can't, I'm going to get cursed by Durvasa, and now my beloved Krishna's coming and wants prasad, and I don't have anything. Krishna said, just bring the pot. But the pot's empty, just bring the pot. So Krishna went to the pot, and he scrutinizingly examined the pot, and he saw one tiny little dried up piece of sabji stuck to the side of the pot. And he reached in and snatched it and ate it. What does that mean? What happened is, because when you water the root of the tree, every part of the tree is satisfied. Krishna is the root. Because he was satisfied by the devotion of the devotees remembering him, Durvasa Muni, while he was in the Yamuna River, and all of his disciples, all of a sudden, their stomachs filled up and got swollen with food. They didn't know what was happening. And they started making all these sounds, like, when somebody who's just severely overeaten. And then Krishna told Bhima, because the Pandavas didn't know what was happening. Krishna said, Bhima, go bring Durvasa Muni. Bring your club with you and bring them. So Bhima comes with his, what's happening? We have no food. The pot's empty, and he's telling us to bring them. So he goes to the river, Yamuna, and Bhima says, he's holding club, he said, Yudhisthira is calling you, prasad is ready. That's what Krishna told him to say. And they said, Bhima, you go back, we'll be there in a few minutes. So Bhima went back, and Durvasa Muni said, if Yudhisthira made a big feast and none of us could eat a single morsel, then Bhima might get angry, so we better run and get out of here. So they all ran away. This is the power of just remembering Krishna. And Ajamil, he had committed so many abominable activities. But at the end of his life, when he was seeing the Yamadutas pulling him to hell, he remembered his son. And his son's name was Narayan. And by reciting the name of Narayan, for a moment he remembered you and was delivered and eventually given the highest perfection of life. Please don't reject me, Haridas said, even though I never remember you. He was remembering Krishna 24 hours a day. But this was his humility. Lord Chaitanya said, please ask for a boon. Haridas said, I don't want to ask anything from you. But the Lord said, it will make me happy. Ask for a boon. Haridas said, if it pleases you to give me something, give me the food remnants of those who love you, your devotees. Let that be my worship, birth after birth after birth. That there's nothing more precious and valuable than the prasad that has come from the plates of your devotees. I I am so unfortunate, Haridas said. I yearn for prestige. Please forgive me and just allow me to be even a dog near the house of your devotees, so that when they throw out their leaf plates, I could go and eat their remnants, my worshipable object in life. I beg you again and again, just let me be the servant of the servant who loves your devotees. And then Haridas said, I'm actually ashamed that I'm so fallen, and I am asking you for a boon that is so exalted as this. But still, if you want to grant me something, this is my heart's desire, to be the servant of the servant of the servant. When Haridas Thakur was speaking these words, Lord Caitanya was revealing to the world how he was able to chant 300,000 names of Krishna every day. That's about 194 rounds. Strictly. And still he would be out spreading Krishna consciousness wherever he went. Trinadapi sunichena, Tarori vasiheshnuna, amanana manadena kirtaniya sadahari. Haridas was humble like a blade of grass, forgiving and tolerant like a tree, eager to offer all respect to others and not expect anything in return. When Haridas was being beaten through those 22 marketplaces, ultimately the executioners, they were exhausted. The whole day passed and they were beating him constantly. They said, Haridas, we can't move our arms anymore. And you're still living. Nobody ever lived past 3 marketplaces, 22. And you are looking at us as if you feel sorry for us. Now, because of you, we're going to have to die because we couldn't kill you. And Haridas said, oh, just see what I will do. And he closed his eyes and chanted Krishna's names, and all the symptoms of life disappeared from his body. So they picked up his body and brought it and threw it at the doorway of the king, and the king said, what should we do with it? He's a Hindu, should we burn him? The Brahmin said, no, he's an untouchable, he cannot be burned. It will contaminate the sacred fire. He doesn't deserve it. Well, he was born of another religion, we can bury him. They said, no, then he will attain paradise. He cannot be buried. So what should we do with him? Just throw him in the river like a piece of garbage. So they took his body and threw it in the river like a piece of garbage. He was dead, physically. And he floated downstream ways and then came back to life. He was in a state of samadhi where all the symptoms of his life disappeared. He was totally absorbed in the spiritual world. And he crawled out. He rose from the dead, literally. He crawled out of the Ganga. Now, most people would go to some hidden place. Somehow or other, I got away. You know what Haridas did? As soon as he came out of the Ganga, he walked immediately right back to Fuliagram, to the village, to talk to the king. He went right up to the king and offered all respect and honor to the king. And the king saw him. He said, you were just dead. You were beaten. He said, I forgive you. You forgive me. The king started crying and fell at Haridas's feet. The executioners came and fell at his feet. And Haridas embraced them with love. That's all he wanted, was to give them devotion. And if it took all that suffering to give them devotion for Haridas, that was a small price.